hands, and I was making a lot of noise. And it's changed into this kind of reading night that we have now. So much appreciated. I'm going to do John's favorite poet. So the older guy's talking to the younger guy, and you made it.
Can I
Hey.
still read?
Oh, no, you're a bit. Well, yeah. He says, kid, you want love? If you got lace and pretty flowers to give to your baby, to get her under your powers, if you got silk and sweet perfumes, you know she might come. She might come up to your room. But if you got soul, you know she's going to bowl you over. And when my baby rolls me over, I feel like I want to fly. I feel like I want to fly. You know, if you got satin and lots of money, diamond rings and such things to trap your honey. If you got big black cars, you want to let her ride, give it all to her. She might come over to your side. But if you got love and a deep devotion, it gets just as deep as the ocean, with just you two inside, just you two inside. If you got a house, a mansion in the country, give it all to her. She could still be empty. You could be the richest man in the world, but there's nothing I know of that can buy you the heart of a girl. Willie P. Bennett. Lace and pretty flowers. Beautiful. It is beautiful, eh? Phew. We miss you, Willie. One of the great Canadian poets. This is advice close to my heart. He said, well, if you have to choose, take the one that you love the best. Not the one who wants you just to hold you to her breast. Well, she'll treat you fine. She'll be great in bed. She only wants to get into your head. She'll always ask, what was that you said to me in the other room? But if you have to choose, take the one you love, not the one who wants you because she feels you are above her. You can lie to her. It don't mean nothing to you. She'll show pain, but you'll only see through. She only wants to hear those words, I love you, more than anything. Well, if you have to choose, take the one you love, one who could leave you when you have both had enough. She don't want very much, the love that you bring her, the feel of your touch. But every day it's not necessary. You can go away. If you have to choose, by Willie P. Bennett. Thank you, Willie. A good poet to start out a birthday with. Marcus, could you come up? Thank you. Cheers to Willie. Yeah. How many of you know his music? One. That's that's not enough. Helen and Bob do. You ever heard of Willie P. Bennett?
I have not.
Oh, you should look him up. Lace and Pretty Flowers. Now here, we have had fun with this before, and this is, I chose this one also as a shout out to one of our fellow readers, John Mowat-Stephen, who's back in Ontario. And he did this adaptation. We're going to go there. You're going to read. Well, first tell me, would you rather be Death or the Warrior before you even...
I love this movie.
Would you want to be Death or the Warrior?
Death.
Okay. So I'm going to read the stage directions, and then it will come in with the lines by about there. It's basically these 3 pages. But I'm going to read this whole thing. Okay, and he's Marcus Death. So John Mowat-Stephen wrote this adaptation, and he did do, there was a stage reading with the Mercury Players, so that was cool. I think we did a partial one too. What? Oh, sorry. What's it called, Mark? I've been with Keith again.
The Seventh Seal.
It's The Seventh Seal by
Ingmar Bergman.
Ingmar Bergman.
Which is just a phenomenal.
You could see it staged.
It's a great film.
It would be pretty eerie as a stage play if you did it right, too. You'd have to get some real something in there.
So, little background. A couple weeks ago, somebody came to me and said, so-and-so is in the hospital and he's not expected to come out. Right? So I sent a message to a friend of mine and I said, did you know that X is in the hospital and he's not expected to come out? And my friend responds, he'll be out. And I said, want to bet? And and he said, he'll be out. And so I went to, those gifts,
Yeah.
and I got the knight
Mm-hmm.
and death facing him.
Weird.
And the caption below, I think it says something like, they all say that,
Whoa.
right?
That's
Yeah,
weird.
they
We
all
didn't
say
talk
that.
about this either. I just picked it up tonight.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Do you guys believe
They
in
all say
magic?
that, right? Think of all the people that go into the hospital. Yeah, I'll be out. I'll be out.
I'll be out.
Yeah.
Well,
May not be out.
okay, so I'm going to read the stage directions, and then Mark and I will bust into the lines when they come up. This is scene 1. Knight and Johns meet death. Chess begins. Players, Knight, Johns, death. Stage directions begin with some moments in darkness and silence, then gradual rising of sounds of the sea, with seabird calls, gentle rhythmic waves on shore, which continue moderately throughout the scene. Then gradually introduce dull morning light, a gray morning, gradually revealing Knight and his squire sleeping on the beach. Stage left. Rock and sand beach, sea view, center rear, dark forest stage left. You want to do this part?
Narrator, you? Oh, okay. The night had brought little relief from the heat, and at the dawn a hot gust of wind blows across the colorless sea. The knight Antonius Block lies prostrate on spruce branches spread on the sand. His eyes are wide open, bloodshot from lack of sleep. Nearby, his squire, Johns, is snoring loudly. He has fallen asleep where he collapsed, at the edge of the forest among the wind-gnarled fir trees. His open mouth gapes towards the dawn, and unearthly sounds come from his throat.
Action. The knight rises and wades into the shallow water, concealed behind rocks, where he rinses his sunburned face and blistered lips. Johns rolls over to face the forest and the darkness. He moans in his sleep and vigorously scratches the stubbled hair on his head. The knight returns to the beach and falls on his knees. With his eyes closed and brow furrowed, he says his morning prayers. His hands are clenched together. His lips form the words silently. His face is sad and bitter. He opens his eyes and stares directly into the morning sun. Seagull cry, weird and restless. Death enters silently from rear stage center in black. His face is very pale. He keeps his hands hidden in the wide folds of his cloak. At first, Death is unseen by the knight. The knight's horse whinnies, a call to alert. Antonius Block turns around. Who are you?
I am Death.
Have you come for me?
I have been walking by your side for a long time.
That I know.
Are you prepared?
My body is frightened, but I am not.
Well, there is no shame in that.
The knight has risen to his feet. He shivers. Death opens his cloak to place it around the knight's shoulders. Wait a moment.
That's what they all say. I grant no reprieves.
You play chess, don't you? A gleam of interest kindles in Death's eyes.
How did you know that?
I have seen it in paintings and heard it sung in ballads.
Yes, in fact, I'm quite a good chess player.
But you can't be better than I am. The knight rummages in the big black bag which he keeps beside him and takes out a chessboard. He places it carefully on the ground, just left of stage center, and begins setting up the pieces.
Why do you want to play chess with me?
I have my reasons.
That is your privilege.
The condition is that I may live as long as I hold out against you. If I win, you will release me. Is it agreed? The knight holds out his two fists to Death, who smiles at him suddenly. Death points to one of the knight's hands. It contains a black pawn. You drew black.
Very appropriate, don't you think?
The knight and Death bend over the chessboard. After a moment of hesitation, Antonius Block opens with his king's pawn. Death moves, also using his king's pawn. All characters diminish gradually into darkness. All but the sea fades into shadow. Views and sounds of the sea gradually fade into darkness and silence, then black. That was good.
So that I watched it for the first time during the pandemic. There could be no better movie to watch during the pandemic.
Well, Was it made in?
Well, because the knight has just returned from the Crusades.
Oh, right.
And the land is awash with death.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's back home, and he's spent all his time killing, and he's probably happy to be home. But then death shows up to claim him, and the movie has this framework all around this sort of chess match, and there's the story of of them facing off against one another, but there's also there's this young family, a story about this young family as well.
Right.
Because remember, you've got life
Yeah.
and you've got death,
Yeah.
and so the movie would be off balance if it didn't have both hope and
Right.
sorrow.
That's
I don't
the
know.
next scene, the Johns and the kids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you do you remember the end of one of the end movies? It's very funny.
No, I don't. Remember.
I don't know. Has everybody seen this movie?
Spoiler. Yeah, long
Okay.
time.
Yeah. So there's this one character. I can't remember if he's a woodsman or something like that, but he thinks he's going to get away from death and he runs up a tree, and he's very satisfied. But then in the middle of the night, he hears this chopping, and the tree falls down, and obviously he dies, and a squirrel jumps up on the stump and chatters, and that's the end.
Fitting. That's funny.
It's really lovely.
Black and white. Yes, I do remember seeing it. It was quite a while ago. To introduce Mark Primer, a baker and a scribe. Thank you for all your contributions over the years. Mark might be one of the longest running returnees, maybe,
Yeah.
along with Byron there, eh?
Byron.
Yeah.
Keith's been around a very long time. Yeah. And no one's been around longer than Bob and Helen. They got the gray hairs to prove it. Before I read, I was thinking, when my mom passed away, and there was some disagreement, at least internally there was for me, about how my mother's passing was being managed. Or my brother's a caregiver. He wanted to care for my mother to the utter last moment, whereas I was like, you need to expedite her death. You need to remove care so that she can die, right? But anyhow, so I've held that up inside me for a long time, and my brother phones me, but I don't usually phone him. Anyhow, I phoned him today. I'm having a conversation with him, and he's telling me about his daughter, my niece, and telling me about medical conditions she's got and number of surgeries she's had to go through, and I'm just like, And then another thing that my brother was telling me about, because here I am, I'm thinking about my brother's imperfections, and my brother is telling me about how he in the last couple of weeks he took a guy out hunting. My brother often takes guys out hunting. This guy that he took out hunting was a paraplegic. And I was thinking, yeah, that's just something I'd never do. Like that, like I was just like, the world has all sorts of different types, and some of us are helpers, and some of us are other sorts.
That's the two kinds.
I don't know. Like I was just like, I don't know. It was a good conversation. Now I need to square things up with my sister at some point.
Good work moving forward, though.
Yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
How did the paraplegic shoot the gun?
He didn't shoot a gun. He did it with bow and arrow, and he shot 2 deer.
How did the paraplegic shoot a bow and arrow?
Because he's got 2 arms. He's not a quad.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. So I know it sounded like a joke, but yeah. No, they set him up somewhere on the ground, I guess, behind a tree with a fire. And I was thinking, wouldn't the deer stay away from any sort of fire or whatever? No, but apparently not. So, the guy he's something like 50 years of age, was in a helicopter accident maybe 2-3 years ago. So, anyhow, I was looking online because Bob always brings writers that I've never heard of before, and Canadian writers, and I think we have just a lot of great Canadian talent. I don't know if this is one of them, but I read a little bit earlier, and I thought, I'll give it a shot. This gal is from Winnipeg. Her name is Bronwyn Wallace. Oh, sorry, her name is Hannah Green, and she got the RBC Bronwyn Wallace Award for Emerging Writers in 2021 for a book called Xanax Cowboy. Xanax Cowboy is a joke, I tell myself. I am nude in leather boots, a bolo tie between my breasts. I am swallowing pills in a dark room, listening to Patsy Cline on cassette. It is not a joke I expect you to laugh at, because romanticizing Xanax isn't funny and cowboys sort of suck. But I don't want to look the truth in its ugly doe eyes. I'd rather pretend that I'm going to feel this good forever, swaying like a saloon door in the wild west of my living room. Google attention-seeking behavior in women. Seek respect, not attention. It lasts longer. You're an attention whore on Facebook. Please enlighten me about your clinical depression. Attention-seeking behavior is the leading cause of being ignored. Let's have a moment of silence for all those people dying for attention. Google attention-seeking behavior in cats. If the behavior is due to an underlying medical issue, the cat may be seeking your attention as a source of comfort from her pain. It can also be because she's confused by her discomfort. Oh, discomfort, all tooth and claw. Perhaps I am confused by it. I too am confused by it. There is something sick and wrong with a woman who seeks attention, i.e., I am a grease trap that requires hourly cleaning, i.e., I am a misfire shooting for the moon and landing teary-eyed in your living room, i.e., I am a vacancy sign flashing its neon tits, i.e., I am. I have other words, too, other words that other people have given me, etc., etc. Each one shivering like a room without a thermostat. Each one like I am too stupid to put on a coat. I just want to eat my peanuts and talk about the weather like everyone else. I.e., if you are depressed, then why are you at this bar drinking beer with me? I.e., I get sad too sometimes. It doesn't mean I use it as an excuse. Like any girl in her mid-20s, I think Montreal might save me. Like a Heather O'Neill character, I'd learn to speak in similes so devastating the pigeons on the windowsills would weep. I move into an apartment with high baseboards and stained glass windows. In the winter, the living room is cold, and I find holes in the stained glass, stuffed with paper towel to keep the snow out. A Heather O'Neill character would make wet angels on the hardwood floor. She would shiver in her tattered nightgown and grind her ass against the cold shoulder of our cruelest season. A Heather O'Neill character would embrace the cold like a flea-covered cat and dress it in a velvet bow tie. I'm getting my M.A. in English at Concordia. Sometimes I go to class, but mostly I don't. When I do, I bring wine in a thermos, give seminars on books I didn't bother to read. A professor calls me into their office and confronts me. You seem like you don't want to be here. I tell them about my broken windows, and after that they treat me like an injured bird. Men wink at me in a language I don't understand, and I smile. It's embarrassing how lonely I am, entertaining men with nicotine mouths because I cannot entertain myself. A Heather O'Neill character would never say such a thing, because solitude is the best friend. Her best friend she smokes cigarettes on the fire escape with. Solitude is the nude photo of herself she masturbates to. On the roof of the apartment across the street, there is an injured pigeon, and I think about scooping it in my palms, building a shoebox nest, and repairing its wing with a splint made from a tampon applicator. I think about becoming a Heather O'Neill character, skipping down the street and returning my library books in a hard-shell suitcase. Wearing a tutu to the bar and leaning against the jukebox where men with crooked teeth line up with quarters for the chance to dance with me. I think about how I will respond to emails from friends asking how I am doing in Montreal. I am so well you could drown in me. My life is so sweet here it would rot your teeth. An email exchange between a thesis advisor and a Xanax cowboy. Where is your thesis? Pigeons have tear ducts, but not sadness. Have you written your thesis? I feel like a sad pigeon. You are a graduate student, not a pigeon. I am a Xanax cowboy. What do you expect from me? I thought you said you were a pigeon. I thought you said I was not. Have you started your thesis? If not from sadness, then why are the pigeons crying? I will no longer indulge your pigeon talk. I want to write a metaphor with a lasso. I don't believe you have started your thesis. I don't think I can say lasso, say a lasso is a noose. Why can't you say a lasso is a noose? What happened to the horses? One lasso is hung on a hook by the door. One lasso is around the neck of a horse, reeling it in like a stubborn fish. One lasso is a student loan. Another is the bills you can't afford to pay. One lasso was used in a Lana Del Rey music video. One lasso is a teenage girl sitting on the curb in suburbia with a big gulp. She shivers in her hoodie and waits patiently for her life to begin. She twirls her hair and imagines being photographed in sepia. One lasso is a pack of stray dogs. They make a circle with their teeth. One lasso is a halo of rope, and dear God, what a drunk and feisty angel. One lasso is the zip tie around your wrists, and now there is nerve damage. One lasso struggles. A mangled horse limps through the field. One lasso is a Hollywood reimagining. A Warner Brothers prop collects dust in a storage locker outside Los Angeles. One lasso is the teenage girl who thought her life would be a music video. One lasso is a bruise in the bathroom mirror and you stroke it like a cat. Another is a mother who worries too much. One lasso wins all the blue ribbons at the country fair. One lasso loses slack in the field while the horse lies down. One lasso is a long bus ride home with your head against the window thinking about the soundtrack. One lasso asks, was that okay? And of course it was. Of course it was. One lasso is coiled in the corner of the stable like a snake. Another is the mother you tell not to worry so much. Another is a soundtrack that loops and loops. And I'll stop there. And that gal's name is Hannah Green. And she's from Winnipeg. And the book is called Xanax Cowboy.
Hannah Green. No, that's good writing.
It's Laurel.
Did you come to read?
I did.
You should come up.
Now?
You don't necessarily want the Fred Astaire stairs, but you can. If you
Of course
want.
I can.
That was some good writing. I meant to say Seth wished us happy birthday. Just to show you that poetry is still alive, he accosted me on the street a couple days ago, and he said, have you ever looked up the word goose pimples? And I said, no, I haven't. And he proceeded to show me some of the synonyms, and one of them that particularly tickled his funny bone was piloerection, which is another word for goose pimples. He said, you should write a poem about that, man. Man of words, aren't you? So he challenged me, and I hoped to have it ready, but I did not get it ready. So there you go. If you want to go home and look up the various meanings of goose pimples, there's some interesting ones in there. So welcome. Nice to see you. Last saw you at the belly dance with my friend Aaron.
Yeah,
We were
super
sharing the
fun.
couch. That was a great show.
It was an awesome show, but now I've got to follow pilo erections and
Oh,
belly
sorry.
dancing. How would you like to do that? Your first night reading.
Bill is not a very sensitive host. He forgets these things. Well, welcome. And are you from Duncan, or where are you?
I live in
moved to?
Chemainus.
Oh, nice. We still like you.
Yeah, thank you. Chemainiac.
Shemaniac, nice. Yeah, it's a breed, isn't it? It's a bit of a thing.
It is.
You guys
yeah.
have a good town image, or something. You
We
got something
think we
going.
do anyway.
Well, that's good.
To ourselves.
Town identity. Sorry, that's what I was working on. And it's alive and vibrant, so that's good. Huh. Well, welcome. What's your last name?
Borisenko.
Borisenko with a V?
B.
Borisenko.
Boris.
Borisenko. Ooh.
It's Ukrainian.
Is it? Are you yourself Ukrainian, or are you married Ukrainian?
Father's side.
Interesting.
Yeah, I myself.
Great makers of food, the Ukrainians.
That's right. Okay. So this is actually my second time here, but I think I'll just say maybe it's the first time. So it sounds like everybody else has been here forever, for years and years and years, and then there's me, and yeah, it was after the belly dancing. So I have been trying to write a book about my international work. I worked for really since 2003 in different African countries, and sometimes with the United Nations, sometimes with international NGOs. And so I've brought a piece of my writing that I did when I first moved to Burkina Faso, which is in West Africa. And as I was pulling out a piece of my writing to come and read tonight, it really struck me the difference between writing that works when somebody reads a book and writing that works when you read it aloud is very different. I just found that a lot of what I wrote sounded boring when I read it aloud because it's context that you need as a reader. For me anyway, but maybe you get more judgmental about your own writing as you're reading it. So I'm going to read a few pages, and I don't know about the 5-minute limit. Maybe if somebody can sort of wave their hand or something when I've gone on, I'll just read a few pages maybe, and then I'll stop and we'll see how that goes. Good enough? Okay, yeah. Burkina Faso, 2003 to 2006. Broken countries, but then how come they still survive? There's something about survival in Africa that beats me every time. That's a quotation from my friend Anne Paladin. Welcome to Ouagadougou, where the weather is a beautiful 38 degrees, the stewardess announces as we prepare to land. It is not yet midday. I stand in the immigration lineup in a tiny airport with no air conditioning, waiting for my passport to be stamped. Streams of sweat run down below my breasts and down my back into the crack of my bum, soaking my underwear from both directions. Once through the line, I am met by my new colleagues, Siaka and Levy, and their wives. Claire and Leotine look majestic in vibrant, patterned, floor-length cotton dresses with lavish headscarves. I feel dowdy in rumpled, sweaty, monochrome travel clothes. I am finally arriving in my new home, Ouagadougou, capital of Burkina Faso. This is the first African country I will live in. I had to find Burkina Faso on a map and Google for geopolitical information. This is a resource-poor, landlocked country in Francophone West Africa. And I learned a new UN acronym, LLDC, Landlocked Least Developed Country. The whole region is a mess. It has a history of being one of the most violent, unstable, poverty-stricken areas in the world. I've signed a 3-year contract with Mennonite Central Committee, which is the international development arm of Mennonite churches in North America. I have the auspicious title of Regional Co-Representative. I will be on a leadership team with a Burkinabe and a Chadian man. And this is a big attraction of the position for me, to lead alongside these African colleagues, rather than the colonial model of a Western person in a leadership assisted by capable people from that country. When I first left Canada, it felt like a great adventure, but a costly one, leaving behind friends, family, home, country. I also left familiarity, security, and a feeling of belonging. I realized that there's no going back, at least not as the same person. I think of the advice that Bilbo gave Frodo. It's a dangerous business, Frodo. Going out your front door, you step onto the road, and if you don't keep your feet, there's no knowing where you might be swept off to. I have a small house to myself, which seems luxurious, but is modest by expatriate standards. One large living area, kitchen, 2 small bedrooms, an office, and a veranda surrounded by tall bougainvillea vines with magenta flowers. The house is full of geckos that scamper along the walls and eat mosquitoes. I think of them as mobile art with their splayed toes and their button eyes. I have an aquarium view of their underbelly as they move across the outside of my window, digesting insects. They seem to have a pervasive influence. Burkinabe make gecko-like noises when they are confused. What an amazing thing that I should be resting on this couch, in this house, listening to West African jazz. I think to myself, splayed on the couch like a gecko in the midday heat. So here I am, living in the 2/3 world. Poverty is immediately evident in disease, in death, malnutrition. And yet there is an intensity and a richness about life that is both intoxicating and exhausting. This country, although poor, has a tradition of contemporary art that surpasses anything I have seen in all of my travels. Burkina Faso hosts an African film festival every second year, and a regional arts festival. Life has a slow, stretched out pace due to the heat and the culture. I go to the office from 9 o'clock till 1 p.m. and then return home in the midday so that the young man who takes care of my house can take his break. His name is Mamadou, and I adore him. Mamadou is small, and he has a boyish look, though he's newly married with a baby. He has a shy demeanor and looks down when speaking to me. When I arrive home, he takes my bike from me and puts it away, and then he puts a hot lunch on the table before taking his leave. He is a fabulous cook. He also cleans my house and he does my laundry. Have you ever heard the country and western song, "A Woman Needs a Wife"? I seem to have gotten myself a wife. I am teaching him English and computer skills, and so he adores me too. This kind of help is socioeconomic divide as well as racial. All of the wealthier Burkinabe will hire people for these jobs, and the people need the work. If I didn't hire local people, I would be considered as selfish. Climate is not a selling point of this place. There are no good seasons here. There are less bad seasons, and a lateral move from one meteorological trial to the next. The cooler season begins in December, which is a relief from November when everyone burns dead branches and refuse from the streets and fields and respiratory illness abounds. December nights and mornings are pleasantly cool, though not cool enough to kill the mosquitoes. It is 35 degrees in the midday and 50 degrees at high noon. And it is so hot, my shadow drips out of existence, leaving just me dripping and the riverbeds dry for months. I start to take on a slower African pace. I was in my office one afternoon, quietly working at my computer on an overcast day. I glanced up at the sky outside my window. It had suddenly turned an apocalyptic orange. The air was completely still. And then a strong wind came howling in from across the savannah, thick with sand from the Sahara. Harmattan, Siaka states. Harmattan, a hot, dry desert wind that blows the sand of the Sahara into every crevice of your body, bringing with it a thick orange haze. After a few minutes of this eerie preparation, a torrential downpour commenced, complete with thunder and lightning. The noise under a tin roof is overwhelming. I took a holiday trip to the Dogon country of southern Mali, not far from Timbuktu. One night we stayed in a village on the top of a high falaise cliff. The village is built on a wide, flat, rocky projection with steep cliffs on 3 sides and a rocky peak on the 4th. This location provides a 300-degree view of the cliffs and sandstone pillars across the ravine. A wild electrical storm came in the night while we were there. I took my camp chair and found a spot on this sandstone slab outside the village, and I watched as the storm slowly gathered force in the black night. Lightning started soundlessly in one darkening corner of the sky and spread to surround the village. Ragged flashes would come from all directions and for brief seconds would light up the whole sky, revealing the craggy sandstone rock formations and the peaks close by. In between the flashes, the world was completely black. After half an hour of this spectacular light show, the audible elements joined in like sections in a symphony. Thunder started, a slow tympanic grumble in the distance, and then came a howling strong wind carrying dust from the Sahel, and finally, with a sense of relief, crashing rains. In my head, the orchestra played full blast. Since the guides and the porters normally sleep on the rooftop, I told our young guide that he could sleep on the floor of my room. When I related this story to Burkina friends later, they laughed at my naivety. In a village where he knows so many people, he will easily find a place to sleep. But why look when your charming white client has invited you into her room? I swear my intentions were strictly benevolent. His were too, I swear. And even if they weren't, the others in our group were right next door. As he took off his pants to prepare to sleep, he asked if he could give me a massage after such a hard day. Universal excuse. I graciously declined, though I am not sure if he was able to do the same, based on the bulge in his shorts. He did then settle down and sleep until quietly slipping out around 5 a.m. I wonder if I could have lived up to whatever story he told the other guides. I'll leave it there.
Excellent. The perfect excerpt. You boys can learn from this.
Massage, eh? Let me take my notes.
Oh, yeah. Gosh. What do you think? Were you guys transported back to your... Except for that one, yeah. Really. See what Bob says. You know what? Where it took me was to my favorite movie, and in The English Patient, when they're the first time Rafe Fiennes' character is with God. What's her name? I love her so much. I can't remember. Does anybody have it? Anyway, the love interest, and she's married, of course. But the first time they find themselves alone, and it's as this one truck has gone off the road, so they had to send somebody back for a rescue, and they're in the middle of the sandstorm, and they're slowly getting buried. And so he starts telling her the names of all the storms, and the what was it? Harmattan was one that he describes as her finger traces the shadow on the window. It's so steamy. What a scene. Ooh. Yeah, one of those sex scenes without any sex in it. So I'm glad we had a missionary before who was very interesting, told very good stories, but never would have been able to say crack of my bum or bulge in his shorts. So I think that's why we scared him away, poor David. Lovely family, didn't we? It was Mark mostly. David and his beautiful wife and the mother. We loved the mother, didn't we? She adopted us all. But thank you, the great story. Wonderful. Thanks for sharing. No, it's the she's in it, but it's Kristen Scott Thomas. Which one of you two hooligans? Let's see, Byron. Oh boy, he says. That is so cool. Yeah, how you can have a picture painted in your mind like that. Amazing. And the Ghibli. Hello, sir.
Hi.
Yes, and you have been supporting for many a good years.
Yep.
From the Duncan Garage Showroom, even.
Yes.
I believe. You remember a fellow named, what was the kayaker's name? He was an interesting chap. I'm still on Facebook with him. Do you remember his name?
No.
Corey.
Oh,
Corey Blades.
Corey Blades, yes.
Yeah, when Richard used to come out. And who else
Yeah.
do we want to say hello to? John. We'll say hello to John on our birthday. Hatfield. Anybody else you want to say hi to?
I'm good.
Get off the
no,
stage, Bill.
wait a
I'm
minute
ready.
here.
I'm ready.
Well, I could say Corey Blades.
Right.
I actually, I tell one of the stories that he told.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah,
One of
and
his
it's-
anthropomorphic ones?
Well, remember they were all they involved fecal matter. Most of them, if you recall that.
I do recall
So,
a connection of fecal
and the
matter.
one that I've told friends of mine is about when he was driving with his single mom and their kids, and she's driving and I don't know who's driving. Anyway, a diaper gets changed and like a pamper, and she throws it out the window. She's like got her hands full. There's three of them or something, three kids. She throws it out the window. It lands on the windshield, and then she puts the windshield wipers on. It's going back and forth.
remember
She
that.
can't see out the front and everything. It's just this
I remember that one.
terrible image. But
Oh, bless you, Corey. I hope you're watching. Hi, we miss you.
She's
Mr.
great.
Hadfield, we miss you. Welcome to Errol Nimbley.
Okay. Well, this is going to be a transition from the sublime to the ridiculous, because I decided because it's the anniversary, I'm going to recite the very first thing I ever read. Well, I haven't read that much. So. Well, this is easy to remember because my wife was with me that night, and as a result of what I read, she's never come back again. She was just like, "Oh my God, did you have to read that?" So,
Well, you were
And-
very odd that night, too. You were very nervous.
oh yeah,
You were so different.
yeah, and Bill, I read it in the first half, and Bill said, after he said, "Oh, we normally save that for the second half," and
The rules. Fuck the rules.
anyway, and it's not that tedious. But what's really cool about it is it has 11 very special rhyming words in it. Some of them quite imaginative. Anyway, so here it is. A quaint cautionary tale, with tale with an E at the end. A pastry-fed knight named Sir Launcelot knows many fine ladies he mounts a lot. Then this portly young fop has them climb up on top and laughs till he comes while they bounce a lot. Cooed the bishop to jolly Sir Launcelot, these are deeds which you ought to renounce a lot. To take but one wife for the rest of your life in heaven is really what counts a lot. To the bishop grinned randy Sir Launcelot, my Peter it tends to pronounce a lot. And when fair maidens glance at the gnome in my pants, on me they can't help but to pounce a lot. Shrieked the bishop at cheeky Sir Launcelot, your actions I still do denounce a lot. If you'll not quit the ladies, you will go to Hades. You're piling up sins in amounts a lot. Sniffed the bishop to humbled Sir Launcelot, there's a penance I now must announce a lot. When your member gets hot, find a dark private spot, take your soldier in hand and just jounce a lot. That was it. Yeah, it was the first thing. No, she didn't like it. I think it was much more exuberant when I read it. It was 17 or 18 years ago, somewhere in that ballpark. I don't know, like that. So I've got I have another one here, sort of similar setting. This one's a bit silly. It's called Arthur's Spatula Request. So it's a conversation between King Arthur and Lancelot. Okay. Lancelot, Guinevere needs a thrill. Her old oven is making her ill. She is plagued by forge boredom. Seek out Sir George Foreman. Bring back the one true Holy Grill. A new gift of a shiny appliance should cure what is surely defiance. One chromed or in white with a beep and a light, and that's not being sexist, it's science. Sire, to win back her total compliance, you must stand on the shoulders of giants. Old Merlin the Wise, I am sure, would advise not to label it Shirley Defiance. All the knights of the round will pitch in to purchase a layout that's bitchin'. If you're looking to mount her on top of a counter, best buy a full IKEA kitchen. That's the silly thing. And I'll finish off with, there was a kind of a contest thing. It was like to write haikus that related to some things going on in the news. And some of them rhyme anyway. Okay, rhyming haiku. Not all though. Anyway, so the news. So this was about when before the election. When right-wing nuts claim Dems attacked by hurricane, they flatter themselves. When right-wing nuts claim Dems attacked by hurricane, they flatter themselves. Wetback Latinas with some chow that's Purinas eat pet hyenas. Immigrant Caribs eat French poodles with noodles, I hasten to add. Storm destruction. Trump will have the streets patrolled and paper toweled. Low-income tenants get homelessness as penance for unpaid raised rents. That's what I have.
Whoa. Wonderful. Thank you, Sir Byron, and for your long, many years of participation. And the great contributions, those custom pieces that you would always write were always a thrill. I remember you writing one for a guy named Bill. But that was the one, and you remember that was the one from that long ago. Although it wasn't 17 years ago she came. I believe she came in this room. Isn't that right, Mark? Or was it upstairs? It was in this building, I seem to remember it, but maybe not. My memory's a bit. Are you sure you could tell a short story, or you didn't have to prepare anything? I mean, we just love you guys.
I
You know.
started thinking about the time we were thrown into a cell on the border between Burkina Faso and Niger.
Well, you want to come and tell that one? Yeah. Tell that story.
There's not much to it.
Oh, well, come on up. Come on. You got to come up so I can hear you.
Obviously survived.
Oh, you don't want to tell us? Just give us a little encapsulation of what happened.
It's not,
Oh,
it's not.
you were in jail once. That's the main thing. Okay. Bob, what about you? You want to tell a story?
No, I don't have anything
Okay.
to match Burkina Faso.
Oh, we don't have to match. I mean, God.
Wife running a common body house?
Wish- Yeah, why did she go to jail?
He was there too.
Helen had to make ends meet. She's very practical.
Not bad a story, huh?
Come on, Bob, tell us the truth.
Tell us-
Has to come to a clever ending, that's the trouble.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, anyway, thank you both for your contributions over the years. And as Mark said, Bob, researching and introducing us to new authors, and often Canadian authors or Indigenous authors, very much valued over the years, as are your contributions, Helen. Bob has great taste in writing. Let's just say that. Yes, was that sort of what piqued your romantic interest, Helen? Being a librarian, you thought, "Oh, this young man's well spoken." Besides being tall and handsome and witty. Well, so glad to have you guys. Thank you for coming. Aaron, what about you? Short story? Oh, right. My friend Aaron Montan, who I met last year. And hi. He's been a great part of a contribution, addition, sorry is the word I wanted, to the Shawnigan Players. So welcome, sir.
Is this thing too close?
No, that's good. That's good.
That's good. You're leaving? Okay. So, I'm sort of contemplating directing a play in the springtime, and the play I picked was Antony and Cleopatra. So now the part of it that I'm comfortable with is like kind of editing the text and, upgrading the language and that sort of thing, very comfortable with it. And the part that I feel challenged by is that after I read the play thoroughly, it turns out there's 6 suicides in the play. And I'm like, I feel daunted as a potential director trying to bring like the correct amount of gravitas to 6 suicides without it look kind of, shticky or overdone or something like that. So anyways, I thought when Bill told me about this event, I thought maybe I'd bring the first one and read it, and just to kind of help my understanding of it. So the setup of the scene is the character is called Enobarbus, and he was Antony's number 1 general and really good friend. And then as the play evolves, obviously Antony's going to lose the war, and he, in distraught goes, "Oh, go away, my generals! Flee, save yourselves!" And most don't. But it turns out Enobarbus does, and he goes over to Caesar's camp, and then there's dialogue, and then he realizes that I've made a terrible mistake, and, laments that he's abandoned his good friend and decides to kill himself. So that's the setup scene. So Enobarbus is walking out onto the stage and says this: "Oh, bear me witness, night. Be witness to me, O blessed moon. When men shall upon record bear hateful memory, poor Enobarbus did before thy face repent. O sovereign mistress of true melancholy, the poisoned damp of night dispunge upon me, that life may hang no longer upon me. Throw my heart against the flint and hardness of my fault, which, being dried with grief, will break to powder and finish all foul thoughts. O Antony, nobler than my revolt, forgive me. Let the world rank me in register, a master leaver and a fugitive. oh, Anthony. Oh, Anthony. And then he dies. Is it funny or no? So anyways, thank you.
That is tough to make that work,
Yeah. Would you read it? You have more gravitas than I can bring.
Well, you did fine.
Okay, well, some other time I would like
Yeah?
to hear somebody say it.
I
Okay.
can try.
You want to try quick? It's very short, so. Okay. Thanks, Bill.
All right.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, Helen, you know me. I can act gravitas. I don't have it. Thank you for pointing that out, Helen. That's why they call it acting. Helen knows me too well. Oh.
Think of this as an audition, Bill.
Okay. That's a lot of pressure. Oh, bear me witness, night. Be witness to me, O thou blessed moon, when men shall upon record bear hateful memory, poor Enobarbus did before thy face repent. O sovereign mistress of true melancholy, the poisonous damp of night dispunge upon me, that life, a very rebel to my will, may hang no longer on me. Throw my heart against the flint and hardness of my fault, which, being dried with grief, will break to powder and finish all foul thoughts. Oh, Anthony, nobler than my revolt, forgive me, but let the world rank me in register a master leaver and a fugitive. Oh, Anthony. Oh, Anthony.
That was good.
That was the death. Nice. That's a good one.
You're such a good actor.
6?
5 more after that.
You just do them all at once, so it's like a party. And just, yeah, as you say, it's hard not to have it become comic or what was the word you used? That was a
I
good
don't know,
one.
kind of overdone. Right?
Overdone, yeah.
It's like,
Right.
Because they all give big speeches.
Yeah, you don't need to
Right.
overact it really.
And then it's, I'm just nervous that it's the most challenging thing to me.
Yes, you had some other
Present
good
it
ideas.
mentally, Right?
Right. You had some good ideas about the narration and sort of modernizing some of the text, didn't you? So it's like two different levels of bit of a modern viewpoint, but then going back to the traditional text for the action. Interesting. That's a lot of work. And who have I missed? Oh, young Keith, my inspirator for the pre-show rituals. And you, sir, have I think Mark's right. You did visit early on in the Duncan Garage days, I think.
I'm not. Yeah, I may have.
Oh, I remember the first time you told, which I hope you retell again. Not today, but I mean one day. The stories. There was 3 stories. I remember your elementary school, Mark, and that was the first time we heard that one was in the garage.
Oh, early romantic advances.
Oh God, they're
Right.
so good. Yeah. Are you okay to sit, or did you want to stand?
No, I'm sitting. It's great.
You
Perfect.
could.
Yes.
You could.
Are you and
Well,
I awkward?
welcome.
Are you and I awkward together on stage, or is it just my perception?
I don't feel awkward. Oh, we've never danced before.
If we
Maybe
were,
are you worried that our swords will cross?
well, if we were going to be a comedy team, who would be the straight man?
Oh, me definitely. I think I'm usually the straight man, actually.
Well,
But do you want to be the straight man?
I don't know.
Well, we'd have to find out.
I don't know.
Well, welcome anyway, and thank you for coming.
Thanks, Bill.
We'll have to try that.
So, yeah, my time up here is not going to be William Shakespeare or Ingmar Bergman or Concordia Lit or even Byron's Lunacy. I think we could use a little palate cleanser after Byron. So, Laurel, I really loved your piece. I was particularly inspired by one spot where it inspired me to see if I can soak my girlfriend's underwear from both directions. You guys want to have some fun? Yeah. I was thinking on the count of 3, we can all shout out the N-word together. What? Well, you know, I think it's important at events like this to assert free speech and freedom of expression and push back, you know, against the boundaries, the encroaching boundaries. So on 3, 1, 2, 3, Netanyahu. I was going to just tell a story about, Bill alluded to some earlier romantic advances that I had made as a child, basically. But so my first sexual encounter with an entity outside myself was with a red-headed hand puppet named Shirley. Shirley was a Christmas gift from my parents to my then 4-year-old sister. And yeah, I still remember that Christmas watching my sister unwrap the gift. I couldn't take my eyes off it. I knew quite quickly that she was going to be mine. So I managed to hold off for almost 2 weeks before I abducted her. So for the next 3 years, I kept Shirley in a shoebox in the back of my closet. At least that's where she was when she wasn't in my bed, which was pretty much every night. When she was new, Shirley's mouth was just kind of a grotesque sort of slash, like 3 years later, when I finally jettisoned her into a trash can on my way to school, her mouth was just a blown out, flaccid, gaping hole. Like, yeah, just hold on a sec. We're almost through the worst. She only ever knew one word, and that's the only word I ever taught her, which was yes. So our conversations would be something like, Shirley, would you like to come out of the box? Yes. Shirley, if I bring you out, can we do that thing we do? Yes. Shirley, is this as good for you as it is for me? Yes. So, karma did intervene. Because I'm pretty sure my parents knew that I had abducted the doll, the puppet, because about a week later, my sister was devastated, obviously. My parents told her that Shirley had probably been dragged off by a neighborhood dog, which of course was pretty much the truth. But I think my parents knew that I had taken the puppet because when they bought my sister a replacement about a week later, it was like a blonde puppet named Susie to whom I was not attracted. But when my sister unwrapped Susie, that puppet had a necklace on with a little doll-sized rape whistle on it. That's the end of my time. Thank you. Mm-hmm.
Take that, storytellers. Actually, it's very it's thrilling that there is a storytelling day here as well. And is it monthly, Tim?
Yeah, once a month.
Once a month, and that's been going on for a few months.
Yeah.
So some of you may want to check that out as well. I'm not sure it's a pre-scheduled thing, is it? It's not an open stage.
Yeah, no, they have their own storytellers that come.
Snobs, really? Yeah. No, I'm thrilled that they do it. And Keith, that was beautiful. It helped me with my own guilt about my first conscious erection, and I think there's been a couple of themes. It's the death and erection theme night for a birthday, so that's okay. I would just briefly. I was standing in the basement, maybe 5 or 6 years old, of my friend's house, and trying to get ready to go out to the pool to swim. And outside in the yard or in the pool were he and his 2 sisters in bathing suit. Now, his sisters were younger, but I was also young, so that's okay. But the Barbies, there was Barbies on the floor, and half-naked Barbies. And I remember reaching down to pick up the Barbie and standing with the Barbie in my hand with those irregularly fantastic and unreasonable breasts, and then staring out at the pool and seeing girls, and I just accidentally got a hard on. And so I put the Barbie down quickly. And I've been traumatized ever since.
Can't walk through the toy store.
I can't walk to the toy store. So thank you, Keith. You liberated me from my years of, oh, Lord. Thank you all so much. And again, thanks to Longevity John for many good years of interesting readings and interesting people. And we hope to carry on for at least 3 more. Or Mark's young. He can carry it on. I hope you invite your friends. Thanks, Dr. Ted, for being here. Oh, did you? I didn't ask you. Did you want to share something? Not tonight. Happy birthday to Flo. We're turning 18. We are 17. Is that how you guys say it? It's our 17th birthday. Okay. As Tim says. How did you put that? It made sense. But then you have to extrapolate, and that's, I think, where people get into.
When it was your first birthday, how many you've gone through 1 year
Yeah.
at your first birthday?
That makes complete sense then.
Through 17 years on 17.
And then you meet a guy like Longevity John
He
who's
always mixes it up.
having his 50th annual 15th birthday.
You're not turning 17, you've turned.
We've turned. Celebration, right, that's right. That's true, there's a big difference. Thank you all, and thanks to Mark for bringing treats. And happy birthday to Deb and Greg. Hope you guys are having fun. Love you guys, and we'll see you in January, the last Tuesday of January. Please come out and see Puss in Boots. We're not here this year, unfortunately, but we are at the United Church. And Ted's away, John's busy, but hopefully you'll come to the pantomime, won't you, John? He's chewing. He will. And you guys will too. December 26th to December 31st at the Duncan United Church. Tickets at 10 Old Books or online. And I'm playing a donkey. It's very worthwhile just for that. Again, I know this ass is intentional ass. Yeah, it's, I know. Brilliant casting. Yes. Oh, okay, sure. Sure, all right. Let's end on a We've completed 17 years.
No,
That's what I thought.
How old are you on your first birthday?
if you've completed one
How many
year,
years have
you
you
become
completed on
one.
your first birthday?
Well, I just had. Okay, you're right.
Damn it, that's where I got to as well. Good night, everybody. Happy birthday, Flo. Good night. Thank you. That was a great
Well, I've been thinking, is it really too soon to start sinking down into those blue eyes blinking, heavenly chain, all heavenly chain. Hardwired to inspire, and even time is tired. Better set yourself on fire or open the door. Or open the door into the dream light. Try to understand. You've got to pull. Take it to the man. Seasons will change right in the palm of your hand and return us to the land. Long weekends, streets so empty that my heart weakens. On the rock rocks and you're a beacon to ships in the night, to ships in the night, into the dream light. Try to understand, you've got the pull tide, take it to the man. Seasons will change right in the palm of your hands and return us to the land. Well, I've been thinking, is it really too soon to start sinking down into those blue eyes blinking? Heavenly change, oh heavenly change, heavenly change, heavenly change.